Hello and welcome to Legal Bites. If you're new here, my name is Alita. I'm a lawyer licensed in California and DC, and on this channel, we explain the law one bite at a time. We don't give legal advice, but we do talk about how the law works and try to look into our crystal ball to see how things might turn out. If you're enjoying this on YouTube, we'd love it if you could like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with friends, all the great YouTube-y stuff. And if you want to listen while out and about, we're now offering our live streams in podcast form where you can leave a rating and review. Links are in the description below, as well as to our clips channel where you can find some of the best clips taken from our live streams. Otherwise, if you want to catch me elsewhere, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so on Locals, Patreon, or by becoming a YouTube member, or by buying some really awesome Legal Bites merch. Again, all links are in the description below. And with that said, let's get into it. I still love that belly flop.
It's so good. It's so catchy. The intro is so catchy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Every time
I like jamming out to it.
It works.
Yeah,
it works
like
50%. 50% of the time, every time it gets me.
That's awesome. Hello to everyone. Welcome to another weekly edition of Latest in the Law. I have with me, once again, Mr. Andrew from Legal Mindset, or Mr. Legal Mindset, or Mr. Mindset.
I've made
Legal Mindset.
Time.
I don't know.
No. Actually, you know what's funny? I just started my second channel. I've not posted to it, but Illegal Mindset will be my second channel.
What?
Yes.
Is it like your alter ego?
No, it's going to be. So I'm filming a lot of vlog content right now. I'm going to start posting it, some of it on my channel, but there's going to be so much that I'm going to start posting it on a second channel so I don't interrupt with it. So you guys see crazy stuff I'm doing here in Korea. Like it's actually cherry blossom season pretty soon. So that'll be pretty cool. But I've been like out at bars, like showing people around different parts of Korea. My editor's working on that film, but yeah, some of it may be on Illegal Mindset. So look out for that. That joke may become real. And you know what's funny is Alita, shout out to Alita. She made the bathroom real and she manifested the bathroom and she manifested my other channel. So you still need to make merch. I've been getting on you about that. There's something in the works right now that my locals community has seen and nobody else has seen. So if you go to legalmindset.locals.com and you join my community, you can see a little insight into the bathroom, if you will.
Awesome. And I have with me, if you guys watched last week, you saw that we introduced Miss Boss Attorney Bree. Hello and welcome back. I'm glad we didn't scare you off last week.
No, it was really fun. Thank you for having me. I'm excited about the topics for today.
Oh, good.
Hold on. Who was on last week to pick on her? Who is the bully? Who were the bullies last week?
Well, okay.
Tell me who they were.
Nate's not a bully. Nate's like one of the nicest people.
Nate is like the biggest softball ever. Like Nate is like so soft. He's like, he has the Groot up there for the Grogu up there for a reason. He's like Baby Yoda. He's like really harmless.
True. Yeah. And then we also had Kurt with us.
Oh, well, Kurt is just, it's Kurt. So I love Kurt.
He was nice though. So it was good.
He was very welcoming. He was like, I haven't met you yet. Tell us about yourself. Oh man. But Jeremy Stephenson says that Andrew needs a third channel for Adam. I don't know what that means exactly.
That's going to be Illegal Mindset because Adam may show up a little bit more on Illegal Mindset because I'll be way drunker on that one.
And who is Adam, may I ask?
Well, you don't know Adam?
I don't think so.
I don't have that. Well, you're going to have to check out my stream with Joe Neerman for Purim /Easter, including the before and after streams, and as well as one of my streams afterwards, which I brought back Adam. Adam is my personality when I'm outside of my suit, when I'm wearing my hoodie. And maybe when I'm a little bit drunk, and maybe Joe Neerman called me that when he was drunk. So it's a thing now. Adam is a thing. He's canon.
Okay, so also tell me about this Purim stream.
I can't. No.
Am I pronouncing it right? Is it Purim or Purim?
Well, it's bigoted, but no, I'm joking. But it's Jewish Halloween, which people wanted me to explain. It's essentially Jewish Halloween because it's an inversion. I understand.
It's to celebrate the liberty or liberation of Persian Jews. That's what I know about it.
Yes, children of Esther, if they will. So it's like the it's just a moment where they can kind of go wild, invert roles, have fun, get really drunk. So Joe was really on the side of really drunk. And I was supposed to show up, and I was already, well, first of all, I was sleeping because I was drinking heavily the night before. And then I got up, rolled out of my bed. It was 8 a.m. and started drinking again with him, doing shots of soju at 8 o'clock in the morning on an empty stomach. And yeah, it was the only thing I could manage to put on was a hoodie at that point. And I ended up getting so drunk, I threatened to fight Nick Rekieta. And of course, Nick Rekieta showed up on the stream at that point. So, I mean, this is just the way the story goes. But he was Aladdin from.
You mean Genie?
Genie, yeah, sorry, from Aladdin.
Because Genie's
from
blue.
Aladdin. Yes, he was Will Smith, actually. He was Will Smith. He was specifically wanted to be Will Smith.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
Yes.
That's great. I'm really sad that I missed that because I
you can
probably
still
was
catch
up.
the clip. You
I
can
know,
still catch
but
the clip.
But
it's out there.
To be there as a part of it, I'm
well.
sad that
I actually, I mean, I like that, you know, and I assume all of us, we're people who have fun, you know, we like to have fun sometimes. So I know we'll have much more fun streams, and you know, shout out to your brother, Andy. You know, he always every time Andy, I've been on his channel. Bree, you should definitely go on his channel if you haven't been. He is a fun guy. He knows how to play a game or two.
He is. He
Okay.
likes to have like one like funny bit as part of it that he uses as kind of a promotional thing. And so when I went on there, he decided to show me the wonders that is bacon fat and putting it on everything, like literally everything.
Oh my God.
But he every once in a while he likes to go on an all meat diet. And he says that it's great and it's wonderful.
It worked for Michaela Peterson and Jordan Peterson. Like
that's what he says, and he likes to, you know, he likes to point to that and then other studies that he's read about. But it's funny because it's like I have him and then I have another brother who he and his wife are vegan. So and everybody gets along. We all love each other. No, we love each other. So like and the two of them, especially those two brothers, are like particularly close.
The bros. Yeah. Those are the bros. Those are the bros.
Yeah. Like they went on a game show together. They won money together.
A game show?
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. You just doxed yourself because you know the chat is gonna find this game show right now.
It's great. It's really actually, guys, if you do find it, please do. It's great. It's wonderful. They did a great job and they were wonderful together. I was so happy watching it. So they went on Cherry's Wild. I don't know if it's had
that sounds really spicy. Like Cherry's Wild?
It's referring to when you play slots in Vegas and you have cherries that line up. If you get cherries,
it sounded like a gentleman's club in Vegas, so that's why I was asking. Like Cherry's Wild, like definitely sounded a little cray.
yeah, but it's like a trivia show along with some chants. So you kind of have to strategize. Like, okay, like we've gotten all these questions right. You know, so what are we going to do? Like, do we risk it or do we walk away with the money? And they ended up winning some money. It was great. A lot of their trivia questions were like about Star Wars and stuff though. So I was like, easy, lame.
Yeah. amateur hour.
But it won them money. So, you know, I can't really complain. Right.
Right.
So, anyhow, so one being vegan and then one who occasionally goes on the all meat diet, and yet somehow we all get along. It's wild. So anyhow, how did I get on that? But yeah, if you're watching this,
I do to you. I derail you, Alita. I completely do it. You had a plan. I derailed it. We're doing something else. We're going with it. We're doing it live. It's fine.
We're doing it live. But that's why I love having you on this stream, because it means that things are always interesting, right? Like,
I would literally come on more if two things didn't happen. And this is the problem with you and Eric Hunley. You invite me on at this time at night. And at this time at night, I am usually really drunk. I'm not going to lie. And
are you drunk right now?
Yes. The standard is this is the standard. When I get home, how long is it before the stream? If it is more than an hour, I will pass out. If it is an hour or less, and if I'm eating, then I can stay up that long. If I stream, which is what I did tonight, I can stay up that long. But as soon as I show off the stream, I'm probably falling asleep. Maybe even I'm not even making it to the bed. Maybe it's going to be on the couch here. Who knows?
You mean the toilet?
Yes.
Bathtub. Oh Oh man. But that's wonderful. So
Speaking of
great.
drunk, how about Jussie Smollett? How about Jussie Smollett getting out of jail? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So that's not one of the topics. You know, we talked about it last year. If you would have been, and last week, I should say.
Oh, I'm
would
sorry.
have been here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But yeah, apparently he's still out on bail with his appeal and everything, and he's probably not going to see another day of jail for this crime.
I mean, do you think he's going to win the appeal? That's a question I would have for both of you. Do you think he's going to win the appeal?
No, I don't think so.
Bree seems like no. Bree thinks I think Bree thinks he's going to win. You have your opinion. What's going on?
I really don't know, honestly. I think more facts will need to come out as far as the situation where there was a deal, but there wasn't a deal. I think he kind of shot himself in the foot, or his lawyer shot himself in the foot by saying that, oh no, it was never a deal. He went and did the charity on his own. I think that could end up hurting him as far as like an implied contract situation may go.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. And there's the agency issue. If the prosecutor didn't actually have the power to offer that, in fact, and on top of that, then the other side, you know, didn't actually believe that it was a legitimate offer. Like I don't see how you can then later on down the line claim the opposite side, you know, talk out of the other side of your mouth.
Right.
So
not that politicians or prosecutors ever do that. They never do that at all, ever.
And so do you think if he loses the appeal, he won't go back to jail?
Yeah, and there's a question in the chat about that too. So I think that someone said, now I'm my wheelhouse is more civil litigation, but someone said that I think maybe it was Nate or somebody that said that it most likely what's going to happen is they'll deny the appeal, and then they'll say, well, time served because you've been,
That's some bullshit.
It is bullshit.
That's some bullshit.
It is, and especially considering no one else that gets convicted, like Potter, for example, convicted, appealing. She's sitting in jail during that appeal, just like anybody else. Like this is another one of those situations that it looks like he is privileged because of his status in society. He's a celebrity. He's part of Hollywood. And he's friends with very powerful people. And so, you know, so therefore it at the very least looks to the general public like he's getting special treatment because of that.
Right.
And Chicago. So, I mean, layer on the decades and decades of corruption in Chicago, and you've got a recipe for him getting off easy.
Yeah.
At some point. It only takes one person. It only takes one person in the chain to let him off easy. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And but he served 4 out of 150 days.
He got jail time, guys.
Rightfully outraged.
You know?
Rightfully outraged because the thing is, like, if you ask anyone that has been paying attention to this case, ask them if they truly believe that he was, you know, that he actually was guilty, or if he actually, or if he was innocent, you know. Yeah. So you ask anybody. I don't, at least I don't know. I have yet to come across anybody
who's been following it.
Right.
People who have not been following it still believe he is the victim of a race crime, and that he is targeted because of his ethnicity and because of his gender identity.
Yeah.
They still believe that. There's still people out there.
That's the point. That's the point. Just like with Rittenhouse, if you were following it, you know, most likely you thought he was acting in self-defense. If you weren't following it, you might be relying on the headlines.
He still crossed state lines to some people. He still crossed state lines.
He broke curfew. He wasn't supposed to have that gun. Okay. All right.
Okay. Sure. All right.
So, anyhow, well, let's get into some of the other topics. So also this week has been the Senate hearings for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson for her nomination to the Supreme Court. To be honest, I haven't been watching that much of this because, well, number one, I feel like she's going to get confirmed no matter what. She's going to get confirmed. I don't think that there's any real danger of her not getting confirmed. 2, I think that she's shown enough to show that she's probably qualified. And 3, what I have seen is just mostly a lot of grandstanding by a lot of senators on both sides of the aisle. So, yeah, I don't know. Have you guys been catching it at all?
Yeah, I've watched it. I mean, I've seen all of it. I mean, yeah, you're right. She's going to get confirmed no matter what. We knew that, and we knew that she was going to be super woke. We knew she was going to be an activist. We knew that she was going to be that she's going to have a problematic track record in something. I'm just shocked that it was pedophilia of all things. I mean, I was just shocked that, like, you know, we spin the wheel and we were like, what was it? I mean, I was like, okay, she's going to be light on BLM. She's going to be light on abortion, and she's going to do abortion, you know, crazy about abortion rights. It's going to be something, right? There's going to be something where she's an activist judge, and you spin the wheel and it lands on pedophilia. I'm like, that is a very rare landing, right? That's a very rare thing to be light on. And that's something that's kind of bipartisan. Like, if we've looked at all the issues that have united people, the children have been something that's united people. When people start coming for the children, both Democrats and Republicans can unite and say, you know what, stay the hell away from the kids. You know, I mean, Loudoun County, Youngkin winning in Virginia, a lot of that was about the education. And you know, to me, it's just a very odd thing. But you're exactly right. It's 100. She's gonna be confirmed. I think it was interesting to see the points they made. I think all this high horsing by the Republicans does absolutely nothing, because the next time it's a Republican nominee, they're going to do the exact same thing they did to Kavanaugh again and to Thomas. This pattern is not going to go anywhere. So them trying to high road it is not going to help anything. They're going to attack people's personal lives. And to some extent they should, by the way, because to some extent their personal life does matter. But that's a separate topic.
I mean, yeah, you could say to some extent. I mean, but I think the most important is looking at their record as a judge, you know, assuming that they have been a judge. Not all of them have been before becoming Supreme Court justice.
Well, there's no requirement, though. I mean, technically, they could appoint anybody.
I mean, Justice K, she was not a judge at all before being nominated.
Right, which is why when you say qualified, I'm like, well, a dog catcher is qualified. Anybody is qualified because there's no requirement. There's no qualification.
Yeah. I mean, right. Okay. Are there actual rules, you know, for, you know, check boxes that every justice has to meet? Well, no, but, you know, generally speaking, we want them to be well versed in the law. We want them to, you know, to understand, and we want them to be impartial when it matters. You know, to have a personal, you know, subjective view on things is totally fine, so long as you can understand the difference between your subjective view and the more objective need that the public has for any judge, especially a Supreme Court justice. I will say that, you know, as far as the whole maps issue that's come up, I think that it's very interesting. I'm sorry,
the fact that we have a term for this now, and the fact that we're like, it's a thing that, like, we have to discuss as a group, is just like, you got to laugh, because I would have never believed you if you told me this was a thing like 5 or 10 years ago. I would have laughed.
Honestly, 5 years from now, we'll be talking about aliens, you know, coming to this earth and becoming our overlords. Like anything can happen. Seriously, like Godzilla's going to come out of the ocean.
Whether or not alien sex is legitimate, and do we have to acknowledge extraterrestrial babies? And what if they cross over state borders? Like, how does that work? Like, you know, who's getting citizenship? You know.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's gonna be something.
When Darth Vader's the baby daddy.
Yeah, but I will say that, to me, I haven't. So have they distinguished about, because I know that it sounded like her record on sentencing for convicts related to CP is very light. It's below the sentencing guidelines. Minimum. Across the board.
It's literally the minimum or below, you know, where it's recommended.
Yeah. Right. So I know that she has kind of that across the board, but is her sentencing record that way for all crimes, or is it just specifically for MAPS issues, like for CP crimes? Do we know that? Or have they?
I haven't seen anything come out about the other ones, but I also don't keep up with politics that much either. So
yeah.
So her general sentencing for they found this trend for this, but the problem is, for her other decisions, it's kind of sporadic. You can't put together a pattern like this. That's the issue. She also does have, like any other judge, many decisions. It's very difficult to go for anybody, even senators who have staff. It's hard to go through every single decision and put together something unless it's as clear as this. So I don't think that you could say, oh yeah, she's light on sentencing at large. There's probably some crimes she takes very seriously, but they haven't been able to piece together any other narratives. And this is the only narrative. However, it's a darkly disturbing narrative. But it's the only one.
Speaking of dark and disturbing, welcome, Joe.
Oh boy.
I get the best intros. I get the best intros. You guys are too kind.
Listen.
I'm even dressed all dark and disturbing today. So
I like it. We're matching. Hey, did you go? Did I do black and white? So you had to go black and black and is that blue? Black and blue? Like
black and dark blue, like navy blue.
Yeah, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to go a little bit darker than me. It's okay.
Dark and disturbing. That's me.
Yes.
That's me.
Very disturbing, like the speed of light. Disturbing.
Because to me, it's one thing if her sentencing is just on CP kind of stuff, if it's lower than normal, but if her record is overall, she has a tendency to give lighter sentences because she just feels like the sentencing guidelines overall are just too harsh for criminals in general, and she feels like people are better served with having some time in prison and then they get rehabilitated or something like that. I don't know, like that's at least a rationale that I could maybe, whether or not I agree with it, I can at least understand it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. So that's why that was kind of interesting to me, because people are talking about that specifically, but I don't know if there's that issue, I don't know, all the way around.
May I weigh in?
Yes.
Okay. What's far more disturbing to me than her light sentencing on these cheese pizza cases, which should be disturbing to anyone. Let's face it. I mean, this is like, this is a sort of this and like beating dogs are something that every thinking adult should be revolted by. This type of crime, right? I mean, it's you're harming the innocent. Like the purely innocent is the ones who are being the victims here. To show leniency in that regard is displaying a callous disregard for basic human respect and that an innate human respect for human dignity and for the innocence of youth. It's a very terrifying thing. But if we look at things objectively and from reality perspective, as a Supreme Court justice, she's not going to be sentencing anybody.
Right.
That's not what she's going to do.
That was another point that I was going to make.
However, what's more disturbing, because this is how it's reflective of her overall approach to the law, because when she's sitting there, she clearly has a motivation. When you're 10 out of 10, it's not like it's like 10 out of 10 that every time in these cases she finds a way to justify going forward with her agenda of basically showing leniency to the most heinous criminals out there. So if she's the different bases of logic that she relies on, she's trying to read into the text that technically we see that, and sometimes when it helps her, she becomes a real textualist. When it helps her to promote a strong leftist agenda, she becomes a textualist. Like when they were talking about that case with the Border Patrol. So all of a sudden she's trying to read in, there's a procedural way that now all of a sudden she's a textualist. Then when it comes to the Hawkins case where she wants her agenda, all of a sudden it's like, these statutes are very old. Well, this statute's only 10 years old. Yeah, 10 years is a long time. What are you kidding me? 10 years is a long time for a statute? What are we going to be updating our statutes every 6 months? That's not the way it works.
Yeah, Joe.
Most of our laws are the Constitution is hundreds of years old. You're going to say
that's not a law.
Also?
That's a suggestion, Joe. The Constitution is like you stay within the boundaries. It's like the gutter in bowling,
So what's more concerning than her utter disregard for these completely innocent victims and favoring the defendant in general is that she's displayed that she is completely fine contorting her legal reasoning in any feasible way possible to ameliorate and to basically give justification for her issuing a decision in favor of her agenda. And she even said when she was asked about her philosophy of law, she hasn't explained it. She's like, well, there's text, there's there's a social. She's coming up with 6 different things.
She's talked about the methods rather than her overall outlook.
She said the quiet part out loud, which is, I have full discretion to do whatever it is to approach this anyway, because there's so many different ways to look at the law. So I can decide whichever way I want to do it. And I'm going to do, and we know that she's going to do it in a way that is basically suited to a radically left agenda. So that's what makes her a potential menace. When I heard about her approach on these CP cases, I was like, raise her up to the Supreme Court? Are you kidding me? I want her impeached off the circuit court. This woman is a danger to society. She's really scary. There are so many great Black female judges out there. I can't tell you. If you ask me to pick an intersectionality of a judge for me to appear in front of, seriously, that person would be a Black female. I've appeared in front of so many Black women, and they are determined to display their intelligence and their dedication to following the law, even in ways you would never think that they would follow it, because they don't want anyone to think that they are a diversity hire. So they specifically work really hard to be fair and apply the law and explain the rationale. And I've seen such keen insight from them. If you ask me, if I had to rank it, seriously, it would be Black female, white male, Black male, and oh my God, please not a white woman. That's how I would rank the judges that I.
Well, thanks, Joe.
I'm sorry.
You're forgetting about the Asians, Joe. You're forgetting about the Asians. You are banned from Korea. I'm banning you.
I practice in New York, so that's why. Look, the white women judges in New York, they just do what they want to do. So that's why I don't mean you're not a white New York woman, so that's a whole different animal.
I know. I wasn't going to take any of it personally.
Anyway, so my point is,
as a white woman, I declare myself after Leah Thomas. I said, you know what, I can do it. As a white woman, I take umbrage to your statement. I think I would make a very fantastic and very convincing judge.
Right. My point has got nothing to do with who she is as a person, because it's so easy to find a great Black female judge. It's just that they selected her because they want her because of her.
Joe, we were gonna get an activist judge no matter what. I don't know what you thought. Like, I don't know what you were thinking. Oh, we're gonna get a conservative judge from Joe.
No, I knew we were gonna get.
Man,
I knew we weren't going to get.
Come on, man.
No, okay, you're right. This is true.
Man.
That's true.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, she's every bit the disappointment. Well, coming in here, I can promise you, she will be every bit the disappointment that we're anticipating. So there you go.
We'll find out. I think that overall, I mean, politically, yes, she's going to be left of center. There's no doubt about that. I don't think that anybody has any doubts about that.
Left of Marx,
but yeah. She did graduate. I'm just looking at her credentials, though. She did graduate from Harvard undergrad and law school with honors. So I know that there's been a lot about her LSAT score. Who cares about her LSAT score if she graduated with honors from Harvard Law? Like having graduated from UT not with honors, I can tell you that it's very impressive, very, very, very impressive that she graduated from Harvard Law with honors. So it's like, her credentials, at least on paper, like she's qualified. She's been a judge. She's
Touchdown.
Been an appellate judge.
On paper.
Unbreaded.
I mean,
yeah. So she's about everything that I expected out of this process, and so and I guess that's why I haven't really been paying as much attention, because there's not really any I guess not like risk in the outcome, you know what I mean? But I don't know. Bree, what are your thoughts?
You're saying
like real concern. I think when getting judges for these positions, or even other political positions, like we saw how Kamala Harris, they got on her about her sentencing of Black people. And so no matter what your bad side of your sentencing was, some demographic is going to take an issue with it. It sucks that hers happened to be the CP cases, but they were going to focus on something no matter, even if she was punishing people that were smoking marijuana, light, what do you call it? Light quantities of marijuana. Someone was going to have a problem with her. So, and with being the Supreme Judge, she also, even if she does have like this propensity to that certain area, she also has to get other people to agree with her on the Supreme Court to also go that way. So if she can get other people to agree with her to go that way, then you can't really say, okay, she's bad for these specific, I think someone put in there like 10 cases. It's unfortunate, but like I said, I think any judge, we're going to look at their track record and we're going to find something to complain about, honestly.
I definitely agree. I totally agree with that. Let me get some super chats here. So, Aaron Catron, thank you so much for your super chat. Susan Concord says Trish Lindsay is qualified and a much better choice. Why not her? Do you guys know about Trish Lindsay? I actually don't. Yeah. I haven't. I've really only paid attention to Ketanji Brown Jackson since she's been in the news. Sorry, Saran. Michael Turchin says she's only had 10 pedo cases and they're all like that. On average, she gives 47% less of a sentence than either what the DA asked for or the guideline minimum, 47% than whichever is lower.
But on the federal bench, you're not getting that many of those types of crimes. Most of your stuff on the federal bench is fairly boring and standard. So of those 700 cases, I guarantee you that most of that is just very, very, very basic stuff. Yeah. That's very functional, very, easy to rule on. So, you're looking at those cases that really divide it out. And for most justices, they don't have, so many watershed cases. They only have a handful of cases. The fact that she has 10 and the fact that she's gone all the same way is indeed a disturbing track record. And frankly, when we talk about qualifications, because there are none, this would be a qualification, in my mind, for her judicial philosophy. For my mind, I would consider her unqualified based on that standard, but because there is none. Right. Mm-hmm. But once again, I understand she's going to be confirmed whether anybody likes it or not.
Yeah. True. Arnold Luter says anyone that cannot define the definition of a woman is simply not qualified to be on the Supreme Court.
That was something that happened today.
Basically said that was yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah,
you're in a broken time zone.
Oh, sorry. It was my today, your yesterday. Yeah.
Yes. So that was, or something like that. I don't know. But here's my thought on that though. Anytime the Supreme Court is analyzing any kind of a case where, let's say a biological definition is involved, they are going to give deference most likely to, whatever. If there's some kind of an agency, the Department of Health, like for definitions and things like that. I know it sounds ridiculous. I know
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Are we going to defer when they ask us if the sun is up or not? Like how far are we going to go with this? Like, no, I mean, when do you stop and say, okay, there's like observable reality? Like, at what point
I also understand though, but we also all know that question when it was asked of her was it's very much a political question. It's not like, what do your eyeballs tell you about biology or what, about trans people, trans rights, it's one of those things that to me was like, okay, like I understand exactly. We all understand exactly why this question is being asked. And I don't know. It doesn't, to me, her response to that doesn't really matter. I would have expected her, in fact, to say, a woman is either a biological woman or a trans woman that identifies as I don't know, like it's
that answer would get her in trouble. That answer would get her in trouble. I mean, there is no good answer because any answer is going to get you in trouble. But
so exactly. But that's why it's one of those things where, okay, like her saying I'm not a biologist is perfectly fine to me.
On this topic, I'm about to break from something that I think I've ever done. Because I never go this route, so I'm really about to break from ask a question that
you never go rogue, Joe. Oh, it's something that Joe Neerman.
No,
never goes off topic.
He's
Joe
a rule follower.
Always stays 100% within the lines. He breaks out his crayons and he colors inside of the lines. That's Joe Neerman.
I'm about to ask the sort of question that Joe Neerman would never ask,
of course.
And that is, I'm going to direct it to the two ladies here. One, I have
bigot.
All right, I'm asking this question to two ladies specifically because they are women, and as a transgender masculine
presenting lesbian, I'm offended by this right now, Joe.
And you're two women who, a highly intelligent host, and another woman who I've just met right now, but in her first answer, she displayed remarkable insight. So I'm quickly gaining respect. So I'm going to ask you, as women, does this Leah Thomas thing make you feel as if women's rights are that were fought for a century, if not longer, are being cheapened by Leah Thomas?
Yeah, I will say that I do feel like there is a certain level of erasure that seems like is happening for women, because it's like the best women in certain categories is now biologically a man. In recent memory, I will say that, transgender women, when I come across them, I'm more than happy to refer to them however the hell they want, But when it comes to, we've talked about, trans stuff on I feel like here and on Eric Hunley's channel about when it has to do with athletics. We are talking about the biological limitations, right? Like that's exactly what sports are all about, is fighting against biological limitations, whether those are against another opponent specifically, like that you are fighting a game, a basketball game, a football game against another opponent head to head, or if you are fighting, if you're battling against not just your competitors, but against yourself, a certain time to run a race, to swim a race, there's issues like that I am much more likely to take a pause before, jumping in with like, yes, of course, we're going to accept all, because the whole point in having categories for men and women is to protect women to be able to achieve success in those fields. It's not about like where the distinction is, someone's brain. I don't care. I don't care whether somebody is biologically a male and identifies as a female and they take up space in a certain field. I don't care about that. That doesn't matter to me. But where it comes to like the physical biology, that's where I have a lot of questions. And even when people talk about like, okay, well, someone has gone through all kinds of like hormone treatments, and they talk about bone density and all this kind of stuff. Like there's still certain structural elements that are a lot of times still in place and still very different, right? Like you could just,
in the case of Leah Thomas, still in place.
Well, I mean, and just thinking about where
this is a
men
fact.
And just thinking about, for example, like where men and women have their center of gravity on their body. For men, it's all shoulders. That's why men are really great at push-ups. For women, it's in the hips. That's why we bear children. Like or maybe the opposite is, like women bear children women have their center of gravity, I should say, probably in their hips because of the need to bear children. So I don't know. Anyhow,
as Shakira would say, those hips don't lie. Legal bets.
So those are my thoughts. I'm sure I'll be canceled as a turd by many, but
she's a married woman. What are you doing there? All right.
listen. So is Shakira. I mean, either way, I'm just saying. I like what I see. That was actually playing at the bar tonight. It was like a throwback. But
can we get from Bree? I want to hear Bree's answer.
Yeah. I would love to
ranted.
hear that well.
Sorry.
Yeah, I would agree more on what Alita was saying as well. As far as the sports go, I do think that they should kind of keep it separated, because it's like, what was the point of making men's sports and women's sports? Okay, you took the hormones to go ahead and become into a new gender, but I still don't think it's fair to be able to compete with women. And I know they pointed out that I think Alita was saying the bone density changed, or that she had to work harder to become that good. And I think it comes into where you peak, because as a woman, you can peak only so high. But as a man, even with taking female hormones, you can probably peak a lot higher than a biological woman in many athletic standpoints. So I would say it probably should be kept separated. And I know it sounds bad because mentally that they feel like they are that gender, and to them it's not fair, but it's also not fair to the biological women that have worked so hard to get to where they were to compete in these sports as well.
Yeah. Amen.
All right, now Andrew, I'll ask the third woman. What's your thought?
I think that all women are women. I think you're all bigots and misogynists and with your internalized patriarchy. And I think that any woman can feel like she's a woman, and that magical power of her whatever is down there, whether it's whatever is dangling, is going to get her across that finish line first.
And
solidarity. Ron DeSantis named the actual woman, the runner-up who was from Florida, named her the winner of the competition.
Really?
So that was a great one. Yeah,
that's very funny.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. By the way, in Florida, that would be illegal because we passed a bill barring that. So they would actually lose their funding. The college would lose their funding for sponsoring that event. That shit does not fly in the state of Florida. So, I mean, once again, I think we need to come out, and you are going to see more women speaking up against it. Because, by the way, this is a fight that men are not going to win for women. This is something that women have to come up and speak up and say, we're not going to allow this. And even people like Caitlyn Jenner. I know you love the Jenners, Alita.
Yes.
She's the one who came out, and of course, she's being called a bigot as a trans person, which is weird.
Yeah.
Look, if you can call Jews anti-Semites, you can call Caitlyn Jenner anti-trans. So
well, I just call it like I see it, Joe. And come on, you're pretty anti-Semitic.
I guess so. Let me get a few more super chats because we got a bunch while we were talking. Dragon's Treasure says the T-Man is leaving Illinois. Use coupon code LegalBytes to help soften the blow of the 1,000-mile move. Yes, you'll get 10% off also. And I will get a small kickback too. So if you want to support the channel, support the T-Man. I have to say that because of
kickback sounds wrong. Can you just say like affiliateness, like something less than kickback? Kickback sounds like Hunter Biden and Burisma. Like I mean.
No, I get a small commission from it.
Commission,
small, tiny commission.
That's better than kickback.
Okay, all right, fine. We're all dealing under the table, except for not under the table because I'm talking about it openly because I'm supposed to. So yes, please do buy the tea. Oh, the tea is also very delicious. If you haven't tried it yet, dragonstreasure.com. Use LegalBytes as a code. It's great. It's wonderful. Okay. Wrestler Town says SC idea, even amount of justices, and in the case of a tie, instead of reverting back to previous courts, the underlying law is completely erased. Oh, I don't know that I like that.
Yeah.
But that's funny. Mark Servant says, I believe it's only a matter of time before lawyers smell blood in the water on the jibby jabs and see dollar signs. Is that completely out of line?
Not at all. I think
lawyers always are smelling for blood in the water.
Well, in PI, I mean, PI is like particularly bloodthirsty. If the plaintiff can sink their hooks in it.
I'm assuming this is for the Fauci juice, right?
Yes,
but if that's the case, there's immunity though, so I don't actually see much room
for the government.
For the government, yeah, the government for requiring it, and the corporations.
Well, there are people. Exempt. There are people that are doing that. For example, I think that there's a bunch of guys in the special operations community in the military that are suing, and some others as well. So yeah, there's always going to be lawyers ready and willing to make money.
That's totally coming.
Yeah. Tune in Dropout says, so after Biden explicitly states he is going to nominate a black woman, does anyone find it ironic she was unable to define the word women?
This is the irony. Why does it matter? Why does it matter if it doesn't matter? I mean,
however, this is a quote coming from Supreme Court case law. I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. Of course, that was talking about porn.
Yes.
If you say women, if you want to say that women are pornography by definition, in that case, yes, because that is
the quote was literally patriarchy.
But
I wouldn't put
which
it.
Justice was it?
We could all say that
I don't know.
Oh, who was
the
it?
context? The context was he was basically trying to address that, telling the difference between pornography and art.
Otter Stewart, Otter Stewart in Jacob Elliott versus Ohio.
And he said I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. And he left out the last part, which was, and I've reviewed a lot. So.
Well, they then did go and review a little too much.
Well, but that's what Ketanji said. Ketanji's like, and by the way, I don't know if you guys realize this. and this is going to become a thing, so I'm just calling it. Her initials are KBG, so people are going to make her the new RBJ. Yeah, sorry, KBJ. So she's going to be like RBJ. You know, it's too.
It's gonna be.
But she said she reviewed a lot of it. She said she looked at all of this stuff. So I mean, that's what
we have to.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it
as
like
a trial court. If
worse.
in trial court you have to. Supreme Court, you're reviewing evidence. That's weird because you're not an evidentiary. I mean, unless it's a very narrow set of cases that they have immediate jurisdiction over. But generally speaking, they're not supposed to be reviewing evidence. A trial court, on the other hand, is. That's I mean, you have to in order to achieve any ruling at all, whether it's correct one or the wrong one. So that's that. Arnold Luter says, why, if there are unenumerated constitutional rights, did we need the 19th Amendment, women's right to vote? Why wasn't this question asked to Judge Jackson?
The 19th Amendment is not getting repealed, guys. Give it up. I know that's like a big thing on the right with like MRAs is the repeal the 19th. That's not happening, guys. So don't. It's not getting backed out. We're like, oh, we don't.
I don't see anybody
having
having a real political will to do that. Right? Like what would be the argument?
Well, there's an argument. I'm not making it on YouTube, but I mean, there's an argument.
Please just give us some broad strokes. Broad strokes.
The argument, if you really want the argument, the original Constitution really only gave voting rights to those that had, at least initially, a vested interest in the society at large, because they were landowners, and at that point they were contributing a lot to the society at large. And if you want to look at the statistics in terms of net, you could say that net one gender contributes more to the overall taxes of the United States, the funds and everything else than the other. That's one argument.
Yeah.
Right. There's other arguments, but they say net.
A good one.
For example, like states, right? But there's states that are net tax takers and states that are net tax givers.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a good one.
Not a great one.
Because you so if you're going to try to take an originalist type argument, the fact that they actually went through the process of amending the Constitution, you look at at the time at which they amended that amendment, right? Like you don't just look at the first time that they ratified, the Bill of Rights, and then later on added other things, right? Like you the fact that they went through that whole process of amending it means that starts right there at the time that was ratified. It's not the same thing as like when you have a case come up where the Supreme Court is analyzing to figure out, like, does this case fit within, originalism of this particular constitutional right? Like it's a different kind of analysis. So that one is a bad argument.
It's just like, I guess the more interesting argument as a whole, because that one is a little bit more problematic to think of, is that we really don't have a guaranteed right to vote in our Constitution, which is, if you really want to think of it that way, I mean, we could, forget the men-women divide, right? We could just make it genderless and say, okay, you have to be a net taxpayer in order to vote, right? And if you're a net tax taker, then you cannot vote. And just put it that way. Or you have to join the military, right? Service guaranteed citizenship, some other sort of thing, right? You have to do something to contribute to society. All I'm saying is the Constitution doesn't guarantee the right to vote. That is,
well, now it does, at least for women.
It does now.
It's not for you. It's not for you. It's not guaranteed for you. It's only guaranteed for her.
Technically,
yes. But it's not guaranteed. Technically, you and I don't have that guaranteed right.
Technically, we don't. Yeah, technically we don't.
Well, hopefully we don't get to a point where we need to guarantee yours also.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
So Arnold Luter says, no, if one claims that everyone is equal under the 14th Amendment, then we would not need the 19th, not against repealing the 19th. Yeah. I mean, I suppose that would be an argument that could be made today, but at the time that the 19th was ratified, that was not a thing.
Here's an interesting legal question. Here's an interesting legal question for you. And this is really a theoretical thing. Could one amendment to the Constitution be deemed unconstitutional because of another amendment to the Constitution? Can we say that the 19th Amendment is unfair to men because it's only guaranteeing the right to vote to women and not to men? It's a violation of the 14th Amendment. Can you take an amendment to knock out
No.
another amendment.
I don't think so.
No. You can't usurp one. I mean, you could rule that one usurps another, I guess, because that happens in certain cases where one like just usurps it in practice. But
Right. I mean, because you have cases where you've got the First Amendment versus there's somebody's religious rights versus due process or something like that.
Right.
You've got situations like that. So they'll stack them up, make a hierarchy of them, but I don't think that they would say this part of the Constitution is unconstitutional.
It's pretty funny, right?
That would also be scary precedent, because then you could start having people argue that for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Crash Mondo says, haven't left a super chat here in a bit. I'm just here to simp for the beautiful and brave legal mindset.
Thank you. My journey has been really difficult. I appreciate that I've made it. You supported me on this transformation.
Stunning. Stunning.
Thank you.
Stunning.
It's been hard. Guys.
Well, let's talk about Amanda Bynes. She's officially free. Have you guys heard about this?
Who's Amanda Bynes again? What has she done?
Amanda Bynes, child actress. She was in She's the Man.
Is there a better one than that?
Nickelodeon.
She was on
Nickelodeon. Okay.
Yeah, Nickelodeon.
I'm gonna Google her now.
So, but I think her like last big thing was She's the Man, and the problem is that she started to become difficult to work with and became very erratic, and then it turns out that she had bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and apparently
Who doesn't? Everyone's got bipolar. I'm in a bad mood today. I'm bipolar.
You're 100% bipolar though. Let's be real, Joe. I'm diagnosing you right now. This is medical advice. I'm telling you, Joe, you're bipolar. It's not medical advice. I'm just joking. Please consult your doctor.
No, but this is somebody that was actually diagnosed, and based on her behavior, based on a lot of stuff, like this was legitimate. And I will say, having known someone with bipolar disorder and seeing how that can really turn their life upside down and the lives of the people that are closest to them, it can be a very scary thing, and it can be a very serious thing. And it sounds like for her, she legitimately needed a conservatorship, and there was also drugs and alcohol that got in the mix, which never helps any kind of mental health issue at all, because especially something like bipolar disorder, where you've got a high swing and a low swing, and it's like trying to stay in equilibrium is like it can be managed through certain prescriptions, through lifestyle choices. Some people just that are more on the high side of the spectrum, like if they work out constantly, like they expend a lot of energy, it can kind of help bring them more to equilibrium a little bit. And then, so for people that are on the lower end, having something that is going to be, keep them a little bit more elevated for the most part. But not everybody is able to do that, right? Like sometimes people just go down a certain, black hole, and they really need serious help, or they'll end up literally homeless, drunk, and on drugs, and doing God knows what. So in this case, she was put under a conservatorship. And this is a very different situation than Britney Spears. And my main point with this is the way conservatorships should be, is her case, not Britney Spears, but in Amanda Bynes' case, because she was under it because she needed it. And then when she no longer needed it, her attorney filed a petition to terminate the conservatorship. There was no fight about it from her parents, who were her, I think it was her mom was her conservator.
Yeah,
and then and then the court said, okay, you've given enough evidence to show that the circumstances that were present that led to the need to have this conservatorship are changed, and now you're free to go. So, Bree, what are your thoughts on this one?
I'm not all that too familiar with it. I honestly recently found out that she was in a conservatorship, but I think it's a good thing that they are freeing her and allowing her to become her, or try to re-become her own person after she got the correct treatment that she needed in order to show that she can operate on her own. But isn't it still an issue that she's still under a financial conservatorship, or did she get free all the way?
I think so. That's a good question. Let me see. I have the tentative order. Let's see if I can share this, if it'll let me share a PDF, because lately it's been a little bit wonky on that.
Okay.
StreamYard's not letting you share PDFs?
Oh, come on. Chrome has lost permission to capture your screen. What's going on here? Give me a second. Submit a request. Oh, what? No. Okay. I don't understand what's going on. Okay. Well, I will just look at it then and then let you guys know. Okay. So I'll read it to you guys then. So this is the tentative ruling from just the 22nd. This was the date of the hearing. So the petitioner must state facts showing that the conservatorship is no longer required. If the court determines that the conservatorship is no longer required, or that grounds for the establishment of a conservatorship of the person or estate or both no longer exists, the court shall make this finding and enter judgment terminating the conservatorship accordingly. Petitioner has provided facts that the conservatorship is no longer needed. The confidential capacity declaration filed on February 22nd concludes that conservatee, that's Amanda Bynes, has capacity to give informed consent to any form of medical treatment. The court determines that the conservatorship is no longer required and that grounds for establishment of a conservatorship of the person, specifically of the person, no longer exists. So that's medical care. The court intends to grant the petition for termination and order the conservatorship of the person of Amanda Bynes be terminated. Discuss trust accounting issue raised in the petition. As the trust is not part of the conservatorship estate, a petition for accounting would need to be filed in a separate trust case for the court to entertain such a request. However, based on the conservator/trustee's response filed on March 10th, perhaps an accounting by the trustee can be arranged outside of a formal court case. There's two basic issues here that this tentative ruling went over, and that basically the court ended up just not changing its opinion on this. They said that the conservatorship of the person is over. So I think you're right, Bree. I think that they basically decided to end that one. I don't know if there was then a conservatorship of her estate, since she has everything in a trust already, and her conservator of the person was also the trustee of her trust, it looks like.
Right.
So it's not, honestly, it's not uncommon for anyone to for a lot of people in Hollywood to have a to have a trust and to have all of their stuff in there and to have somebody else managing things for them, because a lot of times they'll come into a lot of money and not necessarily know how to manage it, how to handle it. They'll have financial advisors to invest different things, and then so this seems like she's basically been freed from her conservatorship overall. So, but I feel like I cut you off, Brie. Were you going to say something else related to that?
No, I was just agreeing she's pretty free at this point.
Yeah. And it just sounds like this was a. So I did see that she made a statement afterwards too. Amanda Bynes did, basically saying like thank you to like my parents and to my attorney and to all my fans for all the kind words, and thanks to basically thanking everybody in the process for being supportive, which is so different than the Britney Spears situation. So I think that like I said before, like my main point here is to say that conservatorships on their own, when they function well, they are good. They are a good thing, because this is somebody who, if a conservatorship did not exist, she as an adult, could have been, at risk of ruining her own life because no one else could legally help her. Because when somebody is an adult, your parents, might try to influence somebody who as an adult is having some serious issues, but they can't necessarily compel them to do anything, because there's no legal enforcement of that once somebody turns 18. But and especially when they come into money and fame and power and all that kind of stuff, so you can really harm yourself in a lot of ways. So a conservatorship in those kinds of situations can be very good, so long as everyone involved has the best interests of the conservatee at heart. And this is what it should look like realistically. So, yeah.
And shout out to Nate here in the chat. He's saying that Monday is the start of the jury trial for Zeminski. Can't wait to put that behind you, man. you deserve to put all that behind you, man. You deserve to be
Exactly.
moving on and moving on with your life, and living a normal life. So, we're all supporting you, and we all love you. I mean, Alita's had you, and you're welcome to come on my channel anytime you want to. I mean, just literally follow me on Twitter, reach out to me.
He's been in my childhood home.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? You guys like play games together,
Yeah. We played board games. It was great.
Yeah. So everybody deserves to live a normal life. And the sad thing about it is when you're exposed to the media, when you become a public figure, you sadly sometimes no longer have a normal life, and sometimes it's in a bad way. And unfortunately, that was the case for you. So we all fear for you, but we're also here to support you. So anything we can do, we're here to help you.
Completely agree. All the best vibes, all the best juju going your way. We're really thinking about you.
Juju, you never heard that? Juju? Oh, it's not about Jews, Joe. Don't get triggered. Don't get triggered. Don't tell the ADL.
Not a Semitic thing.
Tattletale. It's okay. I'll spin the dreidel. It's all fine. I'll put on my yarmulke. It's all right.
Oh yeah, look, I know you really well.
Pass me over, baby. Pass me over, baby.
Oh, jeez.
I'll get a lamb. I'll do it myself.
Just make fun. There you go. Just break it.
Andrew is like the
every time.
I feel like Andrew should go to Joe's place for.
As soon as the word Jew comes up, he just freaks out. He's like, "Oh my God, here come the Jews
it's
again!
It's just the agenda.
Here
I'm
come
sorry.
The Jews.
It's just the agenda. It's just Joe's agenda. It just happens each time. They happen to take over the media.
I guess that's what I do. Like that's my whole.
What happens?
Oh my God!
I don't know. We just control the banks and the media. We just control half of the world. That's all.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Why don't we know where you come from? Why don't we know your last name?
It'll be a good deal. Don't worry about it. It'll be a really good deal.
Maybe your last name is actually,
and we'll throw in some Manischewitz. And you know what?
No one knows. Maybe your last name,
because you're really nice.
No one knows.
We'll give you a lot,
guys.
We'll give you a lot.
Literally, it could be Goebbels. You're Andrew Goebbels. That's why no one knows your last name. It's Andrew Goebbels.
You exposed me. Joe has doxed me. Joe has doxed me right now.
Go look up who went to University of Miami Law School. It's Andrew Goebbels.
I did not go to University of Miami Law School. You don't even know my name. Am I Adam right now?
I know. Oh yeah, I know your name. I know your name, Doctor. Okay, it's Andrew Goebbels. We all know, and that's fine.
Listen. Just because I happen to be fluent in German is not at all related to anything at all. Except for my interest in a certain Austrian lady. That's it. That's all. Joe, I love you. And by the way, guys, if you want to see this, Joe and I now do a weekly stream called Illogical Mindset. I think he was on my channel last year, so I'm gonna be on your channel.
On his over each other.
And his show, actually, on his channel, it's called Logical. It's called Logical Mindset. And mine is
that's what I call it.
On my show, it's called Andrew and Jew. So
just he ramps it up and makes it that much more anti-Semitic. That's just what Joe does. That's what Joe does.
Andrew's the best. He's the best.
I love Joe.
Oh, I feel like Andrew needs to spend Hanukkah with Joe's family and just be like part of the family.
Oh my God. If you film that content, that would get like 1 million views on YouTube. It would be so offensive though. It would be so offensive. It would be banned off of YouTube. That'd be locals only. That'd be it.
Oh man, that's good. That whole rant is so going to be a clip on my Clips channel. I'm so excited. Oh man.
By the way, welcome to LawTube, Bree. I know that. How do you feel about? Let's just talk. How do you feel about this experience?
Right now, Bree is questioning all of her life choices. Yeah. Like, I don't know why I went to law school. I'm sitting with these people. I can't. Why did I do this?
I'm not sure if that banter came to a conclusion, but it was definitely entertaining. I don't know what the outcome was.
The banter between us will never an outcome. We'll never have an outcome.
Never matters.
Never have a conclusion. There's never a conclusion.
It's just gonna swirl and swirl all the way down the toilet bowl.
Yeah. Speaking of which, if you want to hear about Joe's first rainbow experience in Israel, please check out my Clips channel. That's dropping soon as well. So yes, a lot of stuff.
Oh my goodness. Let me get a couple super chats and then we'll switch gears here. Yeah. Mark Sermon says, my beautiful Marmadukes has been a proper master's level social worker for 30 plus years, and she confided she didn't believe in some mental illnesses, especially bipolar, and shared very clearly that she learned it was absolutely real. Yeah, it's real for sure. Mort says Legal Mindset and Joe are unfathomably based. Loving the stream. I know it's always great having you guys here. Provolone Loaf says absolutely hilarious segment with Joe and Goebbels. God. And look at that. My channel's been yeeted.
We're down.
I want you to know, in my brain, I was like, the first name that I was gonna pop out for your last name was gonna start with an H, and I was like, no. I was like, that's too far. I was like, that's too far. I was like, that's too far. So I dialed it back to it.
You scaled it back. Yeah, you scaled it back.
That was
Joe.
the right
you
level.
Made it real acceptable.
It was the right level. Right?
Yeah, that's like Thanksgiving acceptable, you know?
Oh man. So speaking of defamation issues.
Are we gonna talk about a guy who looks like he's a vampire in something of the occult?
Well, we're gonna get into that one, but first let's talk real quick about Cardi B.
Sorry.
Cardi B and Tasha. We're I mean, this on my channel, we're doing a lot of defamation these days. Not, coming out of my content, analyzing other people's defamation issues. We've got Johnny Depp going on. We've got Marilyn Manson that I'm going to be jumping into as well. We've talked about Cardi B and Tasha K. Like this is like defamation central. So, and speaking of Johnny Depp, so for anybody that is paying attention to the Johnny Depp stuff, there's trials going to be starting on April 11th. I am going to be live streaming that entire trial, soup to nuts, super excited. I'm already scheduling live streams, and getting those on the calendar and everything. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, I think it's going to be a crazy trial. Cameras are apparently allowed in the courtroom, so long as those cameras are streaming, they will be on this channel.
Alita, do you know what time it's going to be specifically? Do you already have times released for the?
I mean, I've got it scheduled to start at 8:30 in the morning, East Coast time. So because that's generally speaking when things.
So what do you think the days? Like a regular trial stream that we go not regular, it's insane, by the way. I mean, it's like insane. And
that's
shout out to you for even 10 or 12 hours a day. Yeah. And you're volunteering to do that in a time zone that is completely outside of your circadian rhythm. So you're saying that
it's going to screw me up for a whole month. No, for a whole 2 months, really, because afterwards it'll take a while to recover from.
Yeah, it does. It does. I actually do some of those sleep studies, and it takes you about a month to recover from that fully, to really gain back. But 8:30 to what, like 5-6 p.m. at night, probably 7 p.m. maybe.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Yeah, probably. So I'm basically going to be on a vampire schedule, on a Marilyn Manson schedule. So anyhow, but let's talk real quick about Cardi B. So there was a lawsuit that came to trial that ended up in Cardi B's favor, because she sued Tasha K, the YouTuber, for defamation because Tasha K was alleging all kinds of things about drugs, prostitution, a lot of stuff. So, as anybody that has been following defamation cases by celebrities knows, a celebrity plaintiff needs to show actual malice. So they need to show that the person who said the lies about them didn't just say them, but they said them knowing that they were false or with reckless disregard as to the truth or falsity. And so basically what happened at this trial is Tasha K said on the stand as a witness to the jury, she said, I knew that probably what I was saying was false, and I said it anyway. And oh, by the way, that's my business, and that's what I do for work, and I make money off of that. So that's why there were $4 million that were allocated from Tasha K's pocket to Cardi B's pocket. And then, you would think that after such a terrible loss by Tasha K, that she would kind of, maybe take a step back, re-examine her life a little bit, and maybe think, okay, maybe I shouldn't be doing this kind of stuff. Maybe I should have a little bit of humility here. Maybe. But that's not what happened here. That is not what happened here. That is not what happened at all. Not by a long stretch. She doubled down. She went onto her channel and said, I'm going to fight this. I'm going to fight this. I'm going to appeal it. I'm going to appeal it all the way up to the Supreme Court, even though the Supreme Court really would not take a case like this, because it's not a Supreme Court case. This is a very easy case. Most likely, I don't know what her appeal is going to be on, like what basis.
That's what I would like to know. What are
There's
you
none. She admitted it. She literally admitted she said it. So I mean, it's like a non-issue. It's like she said that she said it. So case closed. Stop.
Maybe she just wants the spotlight.
Maybe. The reason she's here, the reason she's got a $4 million judgment against her is because she wanted the spotlight. I don't think there's a maybe here. There's no maybe.
Yeah.
It's so she actually filed a notice of appeal in this case, and so there's no actual appeal brief that has been filed yet. So there's a briefing schedule. So by April 27th, 2022, she has to file her brief. And then 30 days after that, 30 days after service of that appeal, I should say, let's see. Yeah, that's, I think when Cardi's response is due. But this is so brainless that it seems to me like Cardi B is now also going to probably get her legal fees connected to the appeal paid for.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Well, that's what happened with Donald Trump, by the way. Stormy Daniels, who owes $300K to Donald Trump, just said today that she's not going to pay a dime of it. And I mean, she's going down the same road as Stormy Daniels and Michael Avenatti. If you guys know a little bit about that guy,
Those are great role models to follow.
Yes, Stormy and Michael. And it's like, this does not end well for people who fight this and drag this out. The fees just add up.
They do, and they add up so quickly too. I mean, it just to file the brief, I would imagine. But and it's funny because the filing so far look like they're the same lawyers that tried the case. So biller's gonna bill, right? If somebody's gonna pay you. But I mean,
the harsh reality of that, by the way, I remember going back like 20 years ago, I was on a case and I was up against a big firm and they filed like a motion to dismiss. And it was like this thick, okay? This big firm, and we knew back then they were charging like $700, $800 an hour. Now it would be twice that. But they like there was a co-defendant who was there with me, and that attorney, he holds it up. He goes, "You know what this is? This is a Lexus. That's what this costs. This document here literally costs a Lexus," and just dropped it down. It's like, that's what we started here, Joe. I'm like, yeah, there you go. All right.
Yep.
Go us. It's literally one document, like one filing costs a Lexus. It's insane how the legal fees just accrue and just boom, boom, boom. It's, hundreds of dollars an hour, and the hour is just in the bills, and it gets reviewed, and everything gets reviewed, and you have 3 different attorneys who are working on it, and then the senior guy looks it over, and all of them have their separate hours, and all comes in one big fat bill.
And yet people still complain about paying $1,000 an hour. But would it be is it not worth $1,000 an hour if you pay 1 hour for an attorney to tell you this is a horrible idea? Stop this madness right now.
Yes.
It's worth $1,000. I was debating that with my friend right now here tonight. It's like, it is worth it to pay attorneys a lot of money sometimes because they'll tell you, they'll get you to avoid stuff like this. I feel like her attorneys just didn't do it. They didn't do a good job.
Well, I think her attorney also doesn't specialize in these types of cases, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I think she was kind of whatever coming the door attorney. But with Tasha K, she should probably get a different attorney because her attorney didn't really argue for her in her closing arguments. And on top of that, this is not a case she usually does, but she's probably the only attorney that will take the case because the appeal is ridiculous.
Yeah, because it's such a terrible case.
Terrible. You go in there, the first thing you say is, we need to settle this. I will say this. When someone gets a judgment, like literally, the percentages of judgments that are ever executed upon at all is roughly, they say 79% of all judgments get zero collection. And if you want to count the number that get full collection, it's like 2% get like full collection. But there's literally, if there's 4 out of 5 winners, people who get judgments, never see a single dime, and they were damaged, they got hurt, then spend tens of thousands on a plaintiff's attorney, and then they never see a dime. When you consider the fact that just to make those numbers even more horrifying, understand that even includes cases where there's an insurance company, and when an insurance company loses and they lose their appeal, they ultimately pay. So when you're talking about an individual defendant paying, not backed by an insurance company, the numbers are far more horrific. So if you're Cardi B, if you can see $500,000 out of this, you're ecstatic. And that's why if you're counsel for the defendant and you know anything about this, you basically sit there and you're like, look, we'll give you $50,000. Otherwise, she's going to file bankruptcy and we're out of here. And that's how you start your negotiation on this $4 million judgment. So you don't end up paying anything like the $4 million. And you make it clear, look, Cardi, your whole thing here is you wanted to clear your name. You wanted to make the statement. You got all the PR you wanted. You had this thing here. You want her to file for bankruptcy, or do you want her to, or you want to see some money on this? And we'll kick out
but Joe, this is not. Look, see, I agree with you, Joe, but
Cardi might say, "I don't care about."
She's not judgment proof. No, she's not judgment proof.
She's not.
She's not. No, because you can just. I mean, literally, we know her revenue stream. It's YouTube. You can garnish her YouTube royalties. Like we literally know where it's coming from.
How big a channel she have? How big is she?
It's relatively
large.
large.
$1 million, I think, or she was at $1 million, I think. But then I think she lost some subscribers.
Oh, she's screwed.
And but I think realistically,
we don't hear you.
No, I slapped my mic because I got so worked up over judgment proof people. I'm just saying, like, it's so. And the thing is, you're either judgment proof or you're sophisticated enough to be able to create enough entities, declare bankruptcy, do whatever to hide your money. If you're ultra wealthy, they're never going to get you. If you're poor, they're never going to get you. It's only some schmucks in the middle who get got.
Yeah, well, or if you don't move to Florida, because if you move to Florida, that's debtor's heaven. It is impossible to execute. I don't know how.
Welcome to Florida, baby.
There's so many exceptions and so many protections. That's like if you're the primary income earner, you can't garnish a person's wages. It's like, what? Are you kidding me? This guy, so if this guy's bringing in like $10 million a year and he's the primary income for the family, I'm not allowed to garnish his wages because he gets exemption automatically. That's the way it is in Florida. Every state is very, very different.
I'm not necessarily. I may be on the other side of this. I'm not pro creditor here at all. I think that's great. I mean, I am not a fan. I think there's a lot of sham judgments that are entered out there. I really think there should be strong protections.
I can have this debate with you because I think you're mistaken.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it another time.
No, okay.
Another time.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that in this kind of a case, I think generally speaking in defamation cases, particularly, and especially when they're brought by celebrities, I think that they care a little bit less about the money and more about clearing their name. Right. So in this case, like Cardi B, $4 million means not much to her. Maybe it means something to her, but realistically, she can come out with another album with more music videos with, whatever. She can make that in however little time, however, whatever she wants to do. And the same thing with a lot of these other people, if they win their case, because then a jury of 12 people have said, this person lied about you. And then you can go back to your industry and say, this person lied about me. So uncancel me, essentially,
I will point out, by the way, Cardi B, $4 million, her net worth is $40 million. So it's not like it's an insignificant, it's not like she's got like hundreds of millions. That's an insignificant amount. It's definitely something she would notice if she could collect them the $4 million. I happen to Google that right now, where I saw on Celebrity Net Worth, it's not the same thing like 4 million would be to you or me. For her, but it's not like she's not that level celebrity where she's like amassed hundreds of millions that she can just write off 4 million and forget about it.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
But I will also say that given where Cardi B started, right. To her, however much she has now, she's like, whatever, I can live on a hell of a lot less than this.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
sorry for cutting you off there.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But I really think that's the main piece for most if not all of these cases that are, celebrity defamation cases, because they're saying like, my name has been dragged through the mud and I don't want to stop at a settlement. I want to go all the way to trial and have a jury tell the world the truth. That is my side, my narrative. So yeah. Anyhow.
That is a big part of it beyond the money. It's the reputation.
It's the reputation. It's also disincentivizing them, right? I mean, just like with Disney, they are strong litigators that disincentivizes people to sue Disney because they know they will pro hoc vice. They'll have to pro hoc vice into 50 states to fight Disney because they're going to come at you from every angle with every lawyer. I'm not even joking right now. Like they'll throw so much money at you for nothing, for literally nothing. So it's brought it to a level where people settle with Disney. There's certain car insurance companies that do the same thing. They fight almost anything. They're known for that. So the defense, or rather the litigators that are opposed to them, they actually end up settling for a little bit lower because they know they're going to fight them on every nickel and dime. It's easier just to settle the case.
Yeah. Well, speaking of other defamation cases, now let's talk about the vampire in the room, Marilyn Manson. It's funny because it's like this is a very, very interesting case. Have you guys read the complaint for this one at all?
I've read the basic facts. I'm just more interested. What's your favorite Marilyn Manson song, Alita? I mean, really, that's the one. Because for like, is it Beautiful People? Is it Tainted Love? Is it Personal Jesus? Like
Sweet Dreams.
Sweet Dreams. You like Sweet Dreams? You're a Sweet Dreams guy.
His version of Sweet Dreams is really good.
I have to admit, it's been a while since I heard a Marilyn Manson song. And I also have to admit that this is going to surprise no one because I am the most basic pumpkin spice latte, Uggs wearing person in the world. I am actually, if I met Marilyn Manson in person, I would probably be a little bit afraid.
I had friends in high school who looked like Marilyn Manson. So like, this is not, I'm like in the zone.
And it's absolutely no disrespect to Marilyn Manson because I feel like that's part of that is the desired impact, with that aesthetic, right? Because he is decidedly countercultural, decidedly subversive. Like, I mean, he's got music videos where he had boobs and he had, like before trans was a thing in society, you know what I mean? Like he has spent his entire career being the one that just cuts right against the grain of our pop culture machine, Yeah. And so I think that, the fact that I'm maybe a little bit intimidated, maybe a little bit afraid is a good thing.
But it plays into the perception here. And that's the thing is that that's very salient because it's how people feel. So when it comes into a lawsuit, people are predisposed against Marilyn Manson because he is this guy and people think of him as a creepy guy. But just because you look at him and he looks creepy doesn't mean he's morally creepy. And that's the whole point. Right. I know people who look like that and they're great people and they are morally great people. It's nothing about their character.
And that's another thing that I was going to say is that, that is the aesthetic. It doesn't necessarily mean anything about that person's character. And I would venture to guess that most people that have that kind of aesthetic that brand themselves as the outcast, as the weirdo, as they tend to actually be very nice people. That's been my experience with people that have that sort of like I said, that have that sort of aesthetic, that sort of vibe. They tend to be actually very nice people, very welcoming because they're kind of outcasts. So for other people that feel like outcasts, and that's why he has such a strong following too, right? He's got fans that have been his fans for decades because they see a lot of themselves in that, even if they don't physically look like that, that's what they resonate with. So, but that poses some very serious challenges for a jury because you have to find people truly that can be unbiased, that can say, okay, this is a very strange sort of, career sort of, brand, but at the same time, that doesn't necessarily mean that he did the things that his ex-girlfriend claimed he did. And so that's what's at the heart of this defamation case is that Evan Rachel Wood, he and Evan Rachel Wood were in a relationship until 2010 for something like 4 or 5 years. And then it ended, they parted, they went their separate ways. And then I think in 2016, she had some kind of an interview with, I think, Rolling Stone. She was sitting down, I believe, for her part in Westworld. And she mentioned that she had been She had been R-worded twice. Once was by somebody that she had been in a relationship with, and once by some kind of a bartender when she was, I guess, trying to leave or something like that. I don't know, but basically a bartender. But she didn't name them. She didn't name who they were. And then along comes the Me Too movement. And I can totally go into my thoughts on the perils of having a social movement, having a hashtag, having a sudden overnight flip that everybody's changing their profile pictures, everybody's adding to their bios. Like, I have a skepticism for precisely this kind of a reason, is that you can have Jussie Smollett making indications about BLM to claim that he's just being BLM, but he's hijacking it for his own purposes. You can have people, and I don't know if what Evan Rachel Wood said is true. I don't know that for a fact. I am looking into this.
Alita, maybe it would be a little bit helpful to get like the facts of that, because sorry, someone's trying to call me, but like the facts of what was alleged, because I mean, what's alleged is kind of incredulous. What's actually alleged, and to my understanding, because I just read this, is that this happened during the filming of a music video, which would be really ridiculous because there's a lot of people there who are witnesses. You now are like, and it's on film too, to a certain degree. So I mean, it's a lot. Like, that is a strong accusation that is very interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot to pick apart with her allegations that that you can pick apart because of video and photo footage that people can sort of line up with the timeliness of these allegations, right? It's similar in that respect to Amber Heard's allegations against Johnny Depp. Anyhow, but the Me Too movement happened, and then in 2020, she had another interview where she actually names him. She says, he R-worded me. And so he then filed a defamation lawsuit within the statute of limitations, it appears, because it's I think it's 2 years in California, and he's within 2 years because it was September 2020. So I don't know if maybe
that's a long time, by the way. Intentional torts here in New York are a year.
Yeah, in Virginia, the defamation lawsuit is 1 year. I believe in California it's 2 years.
It's just it's a very interesting scenario, right? Because it's so long after the incident, the alleged incident, right?
Yes,
alleged.
But in this, so what he alleges is so he's got intentional infliction of emotional distress is actually his first cause of action, which I thought it was interesting because a lot of times when you file a civil lawsuit, you've got your listing of causes of action. Usually you'll put your strongest one first, and then you'll add in whatever afterwards. And in this one, he lists intentional infliction of emotional distress first, which in my experience, that's been like third or fourth order down. Like, you kind of add that in because you're like, you did all of these things wrong, and it was probably intentional, or at the very least reckless. But so he has IIED claimed as number one. Then he's got defamation per se, and then violation of the Comprehensive Computer Data and Access Fraud Act, and then fourth, impersonation over the internet. The allegations get wild, like really, really wild. I mean, we are talking about her and a friend / romantic partner, another woman that she was friends with, and I guess they start a relationship or something. There's allegations that they had a conspiracy to bring in more ex-partners of his, and to sort of have everybody's statements line up, have everybody's declarations line up, and to have everybody sue him basically at the same time, and to say, oh, by the way, these things all happened 10 years ago, but it was so traumatic that these memories went dormant, and I just now remembered them, which is incredibly suspect. Like, that's incredibly suspect for everyone to suddenly wake up at the same time. That is weird to me. I'll just say that. Like, I don't know for a fact if any of these things are true. Maybe some, maybe not, maybe, but that to me rings entirely suspect right off the bat.
Yeah.
And then you've got Ilma Gore is Evan Rachel Wood's, like friend / partner or whatever. Apparently she also supposedly made an email account that to make it look like it's Marilyn Manson's account to set things up to make it look like he was disseminating CP, I think, or something like that. I can't remember. I read through this the other day.
That's some weird couple. That's some weird couple stuff, and that's some insecurity right there. That's some real insecurity.
But it's also there's an allegation that they impersonated an actual agent of the Federal Bureau of Investigation by forging and distributing a fictitious letter from the agent to create the false appearance that Warner, that's Marilyn Manson's real last name, that Warner's alleged victims and their families were in danger, and that there was a federal criminal investigation of Warner ongoing. So there's a lot of craziness in this. I might have a separate live stream just to go over the complaint, because it's crazy. These allegations are crazy, and I don't know if they're true or not, because any complaint is always going to be drafted in a way that is most beneficial to you. You can make whatever kind of allegations that you want. It doesn't mean that you've proved them from the complaint, but
if even like a percent of that, like if the impersonating a federal officer, like if that is true, then I'm on the juicy side of this. It needs to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The punishment needs to be as severe as possible under the law, because it is reprehensible. Because just like faking a race crime does a disservice to all those who genuinely suffer from race crimes, perpetrating a fake sex crime undermines all those who genuinely deal with sex crimes. I was actually talking with someone here who genuinely in Korea experienced a genuine sex crime, and it's a horrible experience, and absolutely, traumatic, but it undermines that when there's people who come out there and will be faking that. It really does. And that's why. So I have zero sympathy if it's proved true at trial.
And I will say, as far as proof goes, so far, there is one woman on YouTube, who was a fan of his, that had a weekend with him, and they had relations. She has come out and said he was wonderful to me this entire time. In one of the women's lawsuits, she alleged that this woman who was a fan had been mistreated, had also been, whatever. And she was like, that's not true. None of that is true. And also, I think that maybe this might be the reason why Marilyn Manson even knew about this letter and the check boxes for everybody to check, for to have this alleged conspiracy of women, is because this woman who has a YouTube channel was one of those women that was solicited for this. And she was like, this is bullshit. Like, I'm not, none of this happened to me. And so it's crazy. It's crazy.
I'm first learning about this right now, and I'm finding it. The thing that's most shocking to me, because I never heard of Evan Rachel Wood, is that we have a heterosexual relationship here where the dude is named Marilyn and the woman is named Evan.
Welcome
that's what you're hung up on here.
The 21st century, Joe.
After all of the facts that I lined out,
that's to me the most
Good
shocking
logic,
thing.
The boomer of LawTube.
Seriously.
We have a general who just won Man of the Year. Or sorry, Woman of the Year.
But there's both cis male, cis female, classic heterosexual relationship. And I'm just saying, it's kind of interesting that a dude named Marilyn
get hetero flexible, Joe. Come on.
Although I think that Ilma Gore is gender fluid, but the allegations are drafted referring to Ilma as a woman, so that's why I am referring to Ilma as I should have probably mentioned that ahead of time. But there's been a lot of like complicated factoids on top of it, but yeah.
Will this be filmed? I want to call, I would stream this one if it was filmed. I want to call dibs on this. This be a hell of a trial.
Unfortunately for those of us in LawTube, it is in federal court.
Federal court. Okay, yeah. So
I would seriously consider going to trial and observing a la Mr. Joe Neerman.
Man on the street.
Yeah. Anyhow, we have a question in the chat for Bree. What's your opinion on this?
What is my opinion on the allegations? I'm
Yeah,
not sure because
anything here.
I read some. I think Evan responded saying that, oh well, this is why people are afraid to come forward with their rape story. I mean, with their R-word stories, because people like Marilyn will sit there and file a lawsuit against them and make them afraid to come forward with their story. And if I'm not mistaken, there's a documentary coming out, but is that about Marilyn or is it just a different documentary she had?
It's about Evan Rachel Wood. Like she and Ilma had this all set up for them while they were, I guess, moving forward with I don't know, with these allegations or something like that.
So maybe like kind of the hype up the press about the documentary, maybe. Yeah.
So
it's sort of like LFG. What happened with that? We covered that on LawTube and that debauchery, right? Where they're hyping up this story because they have some media coming out and they know they're going to make money on that, but they're also going to ruin somebody's life. And is that worth the money you're going to get off your documentary or whatever else?
Yeah. And I will say Bree raises an important point too, is that, you know, when there are legitimate claims, it is a concern for anyone to come forward with their claims and then to get a defamation suit, you know, filed against them. Now, just because somebody has filed a lawsuit does not mean that they are correct in their narrative, right? Because a classic example that I love to go back to is, you know, Lance Armstrong. When people accused him of doping, he sued everyone, and with the greatest ferocity that you can ever see. And so everybody was like, oh wow, he's really defending himself. He's really serious. Like he's not in doping. Like he had his miraculous climb to the top, you know, because of, you know, cancer treatment or whatever, that his body was destroyed and he rebuilt it from scratch. But then it turns out that no, he absolutely did. And no, like he really abused a lot of people with the legal system by suing them, and especially in the fashion that he did. So yeah, of course, that's a good point, is that the fact that somebody has filed a lawsuit does not on its own mean that they are correct with their side of things. And I can see a lot of women with legitimate claims being very, very nervous to come forward because of the possibility of a defamation lawsuit that could have a chilling effect. Yeah.
I have less sympathy for a celebrity who has millions of dollars and who has a financial incentive to actually do this versus, I mean, in the case of, it's a lay person. Yeah, that might be the case, but this is not a lay person. This is a very sophisticated, wealthy person who is a public figure. I understand that. That can be a legitimate, you know, statement, but definitely does not apply in this case.
There was this complaint alleges that she claimed that he raped her during a filming of an actual music. Which video? Which music video?
Heart-shaped glasses.
Heart-shaped glasses.
We cannot play it because I don't want Miss Bytes here to get a copyright strike. Also to get a definite content strike. Because it's spicy. Like it's a scene in which, like, but think about it. If you agree to do a love scene in a movie, like, you're gonna get some hands on you. And she's saying that it went further than that. I went too far.
All right.
Yeah. And Bree, were you going to say something?
Yeah. So she brought that up in an article talking about how people are afraid to come forward. It doesn't necessarily mean that what she did, that she's telling the truth. But if he's able to prove all of the things like pretending to be the FBI agent and gathering a group of women, it sounds like they kind of had like a congregation, a little meeting about, this is what he did to us, right? And everyone's like, right. So if he is able to prove that, I don't think it'll look good for her. And then it will also look like she's using the Me Too movement to kind of further whatever project she might have coming out.
Yes.
I would definitely agree. And I also would say that the one thing that's more fearful for men in the Me Too era is that there doesn't need to be a court case at all for men to get canceled and removed from products. Johnny Depp was removed from products before anything was proven in a court of law. He was stricken off of all that before anything was done, you know, and that's the scary thing. People are fired. I know people in as a corporate attorney that were fired for mere allegations that were never proven. That stuff happens. And now they may be merited, they may be unmerited, but there are consequences even for people putting stuff on social media, regardless of whether a claim is filed or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So but this is a classic example of why, sometimes these social movements can be very problematic sometimes, not always. I mean, there are a lot of women, there's been a lot of truth that has come out, people like Harvey Weinstein, for example. That's a guy that he got the book thrown at him, and rightfully so, it seems.
Utter slime.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's one of those situations that it absolutely should be that way. And that someone with that level of power would not have fallen without something like the Me Too movement. But it's always a scary thing when somebody can hijack it just like that.
And I think Pekinia is saying the documentary is already out. It's about how she was a child. And, I don't know whether this is true or not. I mean, that's just what she's saying. But I mean, let's say it was out. That just makes it even more, because it's already out for people to purchase and look at and, monetize. It'd be like putting a book out and then, pointing people to your book. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Do you have like some puppy news or something happy? Come on, do we have like some good news here? Like, you can't end and I've got to go here in a second.
I know.
You're gonna send me to bed like depressed, like
eye
black
bleach.
pill.
We need eye bleach. We need the eye bleach.
Positive.
You know what? I'm gonna start.
You
know what else I meant to do, and I totally forgot to do, was to have a bar question. That we could answer together.
I've been doing those with Kurt. They're really fun. Have you watched that? Like when Kurt and I did them, they're so fun. They're so fun.
He did it once on here a few weeks ago. And it was great.
I can pull one up.
It was so much fun.
Do it.
Yeah. Let's pull one up.
What state do you want to do?
Let's do Virginia, because we have a Virginia trial coming up.
Do a multi-state.
A multi-state bar exam, a multiple choice one.
I feel like I don't remember how to answer bar questions.
It's okay. We'll work through it together.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Come on. Oh no! Don't make me pay. Okay. Keep talking while I remember.
Okay. Yeah.
What do you mean? You don't? How, Bree? When did you take the bar? I mean, like, it's like me and Nana over here are basically don't remember. Oh, back in my day, they only gave 7 questions on the bar exam because we only had 9 laws.
It wasn't too long ago, and I know, tell my age. I took the bar 3 years ago. So, after I finished, I wanted to forget everything. So
that's true. There is a certain erase mode. By the way, I noticed that when we were talking earlier, I forgot to throw this out there. When we were talking, I was asking you about the whole trans thing and Leah Thomas. You said that there's a certain erasure, and I was like, and as soon as you said that, I was thinking your complaint is that they're not giving a little respect. You were saying give a little respect to me, and I was like, that's classic erasure right there. So. That's a boomer joke for you. For those of you who are old enough. That's aimed at my target market there on that was like basically those who are over 40. But
basically, it's fine.
So nobody on this stream except for you. Way to be a team player, Joe.
No.
Way to be a team player, bro.
You guys never heard of erasure? They were like one of the biggest.
I know what an eraser is. Erasure.
Erasure in the 80s. They were like a pop band that was like really big for like the full 37 minutes.
Okay, I'm putting this in the private. Oh, no, this is New York. Oh, whatever. Hold on. Sorry. I'll find another one.
So, one thing that I didn't mention at the beginning, is that I'm planning to put some posts up on social media to ask people for questions, because I want to start making some more content for in appreciation for all of my people that are YouTube members, that are supporters on Local, supporters on Patreon. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with an AMA. And I'll ask anybody to ask a question, but I'll give priority to people that are members on YouTube or supporters on Locals, etc. And then I'll put that together into a video to do an AMA. yeah, so that's just a bit of appreciation for people and for everybody that's watching and moderating and all that good stuff. And if you guys that are watching, if you have any ideas for exclusive content that you would like me to make, let me know. Send me a DM, tweet me, however, whatever social media platform that I'm on. Give me some ideas if you have any thoughts for exclusive content, and I will happily do that. And otherwise, we have a super chat here from Jeremy Stephenson. He says, "Do a family law bar question so we all fail and I feel less dumb."
or less bum.
Yeah, I'm finding
Either
a lot
way.
of essay questions for Virginia. That's why I'm looking for multiple choice. There's a lot of essays.
Well, you know what? Just do the multi-state.
Yeah. You've got I think the one that I sent you has multi-state.
Oh, did you send one? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You can just do the ME question number 1.
Okay.
Wait, no, sorry, that's not a multi-state. That's just a multiple choice. Well, the thing is, the MPE, they're all jealously guarded. This is the whole thing. We can all probably coalesce. Even Boomer Joe probably remembers bar brie. I don't know what it was back in your day, like Brontosaurus brie, but like.
We had bar brie.
Did you? Okay, that was still existing. Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, wow, that's impressive. But these people have a racket and they keep a monopoly on a lot of this information, like LexisNexis, all this.
Don't get me started on bar brie. Don't get me started.
Go, Joe. Go.
This is what I feel.
It'll buy him some time.
When I was taking the bar. So those of you, what he was explaining is that when you come out of law school, you're not really ready to take the bar. So everyone goes for a bar review course. So they charge thousands of dollars for it. And they basically give you 2 books or a handful of books. And you sit in these lectures that have been pre-recorded. So they share the same thing across the country, and you'll have hundreds of people sitting in there who each paid, I don't know, a couple of grand. Back when I was doing it, it was like $400 or $500. I'm sure today it's a couple of grand at least.
Back in my day.
Back in my day, the whole thing, a nickel.
There we go.
So, but they basically, what made me upset is this is what I realized. The bar is graded because there were some competitors who were much smaller, much less popular. And what I realized is since the bar is graded on a curve, if there are certain questions that come on the bar that were never covered by bar brie, well, we're all going to probably blow it. So you don't really care about those questions so much. And that's why I felt like I was compelled to take bar brie so that I can work with, I'm basically competing against people who are learning the same thing as me rather than potentially learning information, which is slightly different, not very different, but slightly different. But in order to not be disadvantaged, I felt like I was compelled to take bar brie in order to be able to keep up with the overwhelming majority, because like 90% of all people at least took bar brie. And I was like, how am I gonna risk screwing it up because of the curve? It's the curve on the bar which makes it unfair and gives bar brie an unfair competitive advantage, which I don't know how that will ever go away. That should be there forever. And they use the same recordings year after year. You can tell. I was watching videos which have been made 10 years, 15 years before I was watching them, and they just show it. And they're like, here you go, pay $1,500. Here's these books we put out, and everyone, and there's tens of thousands of law students who would take it like every test. It's crazy.
I got it for free. I got Kaplan for free because I was a Kaplan rep.
So was I.
All I had to do was show up to those table things in the atrium in the law school.
You did the exact same thing I did, and guess what? I didn't even sell anything. I just sat there. Excuse me.
I don't know that I did either. I basically just posted on Facebook about like, hey guys, come and get Chick-fil-A. And
pizza,
we'll talk about Kaplan.
Domino's.
They have some pretty good competitors now, I would say. I still took bar brie, and it's all self-paced, but the videos were pretty old, but I could watch them on 2 times speed, so that's what.
Oh yes, that is always helpful.
Yeah,
okay,
I have a lot that are virtual only.
I have some questions here. All right, here we go. Okay, let's do number 1 here.
Okay, cool.
Can you guys read that? Should I zoom in? Whoa, that's too far. What's going on?
Too close. You're too close.
Okay, sorry. I'm trying to do this with a pinch and zoom here on my laptop.
Whoa. Okay, Binger.
Okay, I'm trying to get it so it's just. Oh God, sorry guys.
Your baby
let me-
bearing
you know what?
this.
That old man,
You know what?
that old man Joe
While I
can
do
see
this,
it.
I won't show it, so it's not so.
So you're not looking
boomerang.
like Joe right now.
I
got it.
know. Oh God, what? Okay. Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay. All right. I think this is good. Got
That's
it.
good.
Yes.
That's fine.
Boom. Okay. Let's I guess read it. We'll read it out loud. We'll read it out loud because for the podcast version.
A father lived with his son who was an
There we go.
alcoholic. When drunk, the son often became violent and physically abused his father. As a result, the father always lived in fear. One night, the father heard his son on the front stoop making loud, obscene remarks. The father was certain that his son was drunk and was terrified that he would be physically beaten again. In his fear, he bolted the front door and took out a revolver. When the son discovered that the door was bolted, he kicked it down. As the son burst through the front door, his father shot him 4 times in the chest, killing him. In fact, the son was not under the influence of alcohol or any drug and did not intend to harm his father. At trial, the father presented the above facts and asked the judge to instruct the jury on self-defense. How should the judge instruct the jury with respect to self-defense? A. Give the self-defense instruction because it expresses the defense's theory of the case. B. Give the self-defense instruction because the evidence is sufficient to raise the defense. C. Deny the self-defense instruction because the father was not in imminent danger from his son. Or D. Deny the self-defense instruction because the father used excessive force.
It's a good topic.
It's very, yeah. I doubt it.
I doubt
it. So we know
Take
that
your
it's
shot.
give, right? So it's either A or B.
Right.
So Bree, what do you think? Because
I was actually more not even considering A. I was leaning more towards B.
okay.
I was going C.
No, you're really going C, Joe?
I would go B.
How is he in imminent danger of his breaking through the door?
But
We
Joe,
don't know
it's
how
giving
far away
the-
he is.
It's giving the instruction. It's not saying that this is or
Yeah.
is not self-defense. It's just
It's
do they give the
giving the jury
instruction?
the instruction.
It's definitely okay. Can we do this? Let's rule out A. It's not because it expresses the defense's theory of the case. That's
Yes, that's
not
dumb.
why. That's
Right.
that's wrong. Okay.
Right.
Mhm.
So now you want to say B. Give the self-defense instruction because the evidence is sufficient to raise the defense.
That's all there needs to be evidence that's sufficient to plausibly create a self-defense scenario. And I think there's one here.
If there's plausibly in that case, that you have to lean towards that. I think. I mean, how are you going to leave it out? I mean, he's got
Right.
at least. You have to give the jury the chance to consider it, and as a matter of law, can I say from this, there's no way that he had a plausible self-defense.
No.
There's not enough facts here for me to rule that out. So I have to go with B.
Well, you're not
Okay.
the finder of fact, Joe. So I mean,
But I'm saying, as a matter of law, can I say as a matter of law, there's no way there was self-defense here? Well, in
you don't
certain
know.
facts-
There could be other facts. There could be other facts here.
Mm,
Maybe he's a small guy and his son is big, and like I said, there's a history. And
It's almost like a
knows?
battered.
let's consider D though. What about the fact that is the force excessive? He said
That's
he was
part of
violent,
the-
physically abused.
That was the other one that I considered, but since it's into his house and he broke down the door, what state is this for? It
This
could
is
be
multi-
It's MBE.
Yeah. It's
And his father shot him 4 times in the chest.
yeah, he could.
Yeah.
Why is he shooting him 4 times in the chest?
But that, once again, the force used is not part of whether the
Well,
instruction.
that could be
is
excessive
given.
force. That could be excessive force.
But even if there's excessive force, that's
But
not
I think-
for the judge to
Yeah.
decide.
I
Mhm.
think that we have to remember specifically what
Yeah,
is being
you-
asked.
You wouldn't
And it's
deny
asking
it.
specifically about self-defense.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with B.
Okay.
You guys sold me. That's our general consensus is that we're at B.
All right.
Well,
So Joe is going to pass the bar exam because of LawTube. The answer is
Nice.
B.
The answer is B. Good job, everyone. Woo!
Yay!
1 for 1.
Sweet.
So that brightened the mood.
Nice.
before we end this stream.
Okay,
So yeah,
yes.
this has been wonderful. Thank you guys for joining me. This has been a really great conversation. Bree, it's been wonderful having you join our club. I'm glad to see you again. I'd love to have you back again in the future. And same with Legal Mindset and Good Logic, as always. You guys are wonderful. I love the rants.
I'm shocked you keep inviting us. I'm shocked you keep inviting us. Do you like monetization? Do you hate monetization on your channel?
Most people don't want to see us ever again. We usually we're one and done. We're like a one and done.
We're often like the mines of YouTube, like mining the coal and the salt and the darkness. That's
no. I was talking with Mr. Bytes earlier this week about this, that I sometimes worry that I'm a little bit too boring, and you guys are so spicy and so entertaining. So I love having you guys on because you bring the fire, you bring the spice. Sometimes I become spicy Bytes. Sometimes I become spicy Bytes, but
and Andrew Goebbels brings that fire like
okay. Can we just not make this a thing?
Like the fire of 1,000 ovens.
Can we not make this a thing? There's things you can make a thing. Like this is like fetch. We do not need to make this happen. Like it's not good for all of LawTube for this to be a thing. Okay. Put the kibosh on it, brother. Kibosh.
For the rest of the stream, I'm done with that. So.
Okay. Yes. Until we stream next week.
So yeah, this has been really, really great. And yeah. So I thank you to everybody watching, all the mods, all the people. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to check out Legal Mindset and Good Logic if you haven't already. I don't know what you're doing. And of course, check out Boss Attorney Bree. She just hit over 1,000 subs. Let's get her to 2,000, guys. Let's do it.
Channel working on it.
All right, go get it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a year ago I was at like 3,000 subs. So, things can skyrocket out of nowhere seemingly. Just because you happen to be on the right live stream that ends up going viral.
The live streams are fun. I wasn't doing them last year. And then now that I've started getting a little bit more comfortable, and they're fun, especially when there's other people to talk to.
Yeah, you were doing what I was doing in the beginning, and that's really like just making the videos. But the live streams is really where you get to interact, and it just changed things up. The videos are great when you make them, and your videos are fantastic. But it's a different element,
Yes, yeah. So and to, I see it in the chat. What's her channel? So it's linked in the description below. So be sure to go and click on the link. It'll send you right over there. But otherwise, you can also look up Boss Attorney Bree. So anyway, and otherwise, where else can people find you, Bree?
I'm on Instagram at Boss Attorney, and then I'm also on TikTok. I think I'm Boss Attorney Bree over there. So I'm all into the social media for my business, but I do more content on YouTube right now. It's my focus right now.
Yeah, makes sense. So, alrighty. Well, with that, I will see you guys in the next video.